Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya ki jai, Shri Shri Vidai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So welcome everyone to the Sunday session on the book Science of Self-Realization. So today we have an interesting presentation on the subject which is known as Krishna consciousness. Is it a Hindu cult or a divine culture? Right? A very wonderful perspective on the ISKCON organization itself. Right? So we are reading now the chapter 3 and the subtopic number 3 in the book Science of Self-Realization. So we will begin our presentation now. This presentation is inspired by our founder Srila Prabhupada. The teachings of whatever he has given in his books and in his talks is what we're going to present you today. So general misconception which people have about Krishna consciousness is that it represents Hindu religion. Right? So about this misconception, we would like to tell, in fact, both Indians inside in India and outside India, they think that we are preaching Hindu religion. ISKCON is preaching Hindu religion. So this misconception that ISKCON is following Hindu religion is something which we would like to clarify today in our presentation. And we'll get into details of what is actually Hindu religion. And present day situation, how the Hindu religion is what it is following actually. All these aspects we'll try to understand in today's talk. So let us first come to the point of understanding what is Hindu religion. All of us say we all claim to be following Hindu religion. Actually speaking, the entire Bhagavad Gita or even the entire Vedic literatures, if you analyze carefully, there is no such word as Hindu. Then where this word came upon, how this word came upon. Actually, the history says that there is a river by name Sindh, which is separating the Indian subcontinent from the Middle East and the other Muslim countries. So the Muslims on the other side, they used to call this river Sindh, which is flowing in between Indian subcontinent and their countries. They could pronounce Sindh as Hind. So the people who are all staying in this part of this Sindh river, they are known as Sindhu. Okay, so in that way, this word was coined by the Muslims. So we are known as Hindus because the Sindh river, the people who are staying on the other side of the Sindh river, we are known as Hindus. That is how this word Hindu has come about. It's like, even in our Vedic literatures, we find the words known as Mlechas, Yavanas. In fact, the Europeans, and now the Europeans who have gone to America, Australia, South Africa, they are called as Mlechas and Yavanas, who are disconnected from the Vedic culture. So there are specific historical facts with regard to how these words have come about. So we are claiming to follow a religion called as Hindu religion, which has no basis in the Bhagavad Gita or Vedic literature. This fact we would like to present to all of you. Going forward, in fact, the India's actual culture, the spiritual culture of India is known as Varnasrama Dharma. This is what is described elaborately in the Vedic literatures. This is what is being described elaborately in the Bhagavad Gita. So we actually follow a system of dharma known as Varnasrama. Right? So what is Varnasrama Dharma? We'll try to understand. Varnasrama Dharma basically means that the society is divided into different categories of people. This is being nicely explained by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 13th verse, Krishna confirms about these divisions of people in the society. Chatur varnyam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Right? This is a verse which means that according to the 3 modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the 4 divisions of human society were created by me. Lord Krishna is telling, this is for Krishna's statement. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer and being unchangeable. So this basically means that the society is divided into 4 spiritual divisions and 4 social divisions. Right? So basically, Krishna would like to explain to us, Lord Krishna, that human civilization, it begins when Varnasrama Dharma is accepted. Because each of us are carrying a baggage of our karma. And each of us have a particular trait of qualities in which we work. It's called guna karma. Right? So very clearly Lord Krishna mentions that guna karma vibhagasha. The whole society can be divided into different varnas and ashramas based on the different qualities and the different types of karmas they are going forward in their lives. So this is again a statement from the Vedic literatures, which means that human civilization begins when Varnasrama Dharma is accepted. So if you don't accept Varnasrama Dharma, then we have not begun our human life. We are still in the animal platform. You remember in one of the previous sessions, we had discussed that man is known as a rational animal. So if the rationality is missing, we'll just remain an animal. Rationality means power of analyzing, power of discrimination, power of understanding that there is a purpose in life, there is a necessity in life, we need to move forward. So all these things amount to rationality. So this aspect of following Varnasrama Dharma basically brings you to the platform of understanding that we know what is the purpose of life, we know what is the goal in life, and how to move forward in our life. All these aspects is very clear to us. So human civilization in that way will only be recognized, at least from the Vedic perspective, that if you are following Varnasrama Dharma, then you are considered to be human. Otherwise, you are still in the animal platform. So basically, Varnasrama Dharma means the human society is classified into 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. So what are these 4 orders? 4 social orders. See, social divisions is based on the type of work and the activity which a person is inclined to do. So they are called Varnas. So they are the Brahmins, priests and teachers, the Kshatriyas, the kings and the warriors, Vaishyas, agriculturists and merchants, and the last division, the last one is the labor class, or known as the Shudras. Again, we should not mistake these divisions in society as a caste system, which we'll discuss a little later. When you say Brahmana, it is not that he by birth is a Brahmana and is always superior. No. Brahmana means it is a class of people who are intellectual, who can guide the society, who can give spiritual instructions, directions to society. That is known as Brahmana. Right? It's called a class of people who are trying to guide the society. They're called spiritual guides. Similarly, Kshatriya means administrators. And Vaishyas means the people who are engaged in agriculture, trade, business, banking, they are called Vaishyas. And Shudras means they have a quality wherein they can always become a subservient to any of these higher classes. Right? The workers category, right? The employee category. So this is a very scientific division. It's not a division which is just made whimsically. Lord Krishna says this is how the society is structured. It's how the society is functioning in the whole world. So if you analyze anywhere, even if you say, if you go to any institution or organization, there is a class of few people who are part of the management. They take decisions, they give directions how the things have to run. And there are people who are called as administrators. And there are some people who are doing marketing of the organization, of the institution. So like that, and there's a large number of people who are known as the worker class. Right? So this is the whole way this society is organized. Anywhere, any type of a institution or organization or a company or a factory, this is common. This is how society is structured. You may say, oh, this is not as per the, it's not very nice system. No, it is not. You cannot comment on that in that way. Basically, it is a scientific way society is organized. It may be called in different shape and forms in different places, but this is how society is structured. Right? Then this is called the 4 social orders, and the 4 spiritual orders is basically concerning your spiritual growth, how you are moving forward. And in different stages of your life, once you are born, you are supposed to go through different spiritual milestones. They are known as Brahmacharya, wherein it's called a student life, wherein all children, when they are born, they are sent to schools and colleges because they are supposed to go through some education. So Brahmacharya is basically a student life. And then next, once at a certain age, they're supposed to marry and lead a household life. That is called Grihastha Ashrama. Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grihastha Ashrama. And then we have Vanaprastha Ashrama. Vanaprastha means retired life. And finally, Sannyasa, or the complete renunciation. So these 4 divisions also we find in society very commonly. Right? We see there is student community. We see there are householders. There are family people. And there are people who are retired. And there are people who are quite elderly, but they are not taken renunciation, rather not taken sannyas, but they are just living their life. Right? So in a different shape and profile, we are seeing these very divisions in society right now. So it is a very scientific division, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic literatures. And this is how the society is divided into 4 social divisions and 4 spiritual divisions, known as Varna Ashrama. One of the Puranas, Vishnu Purana, it states, Varnashramachara vada purushena parapuma Vishnur aradhyate pantha nanyat tattosha karanam. So basically this verse is telling that the personality of Godhead Vishnu is worshipped, Vishnu aradhyate, by proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. If a merchant, a Vaishya, performs his duties as prescribed in the scriptures, especially in Bhagavad Gita, there are prescribed duties mentioned. What does a merchant do? Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijyam. He's supposed to do trading, he's supposed to do agriculture, and he's supposed to do business. This is the duties of a Vaishya. So like this, for everybody, there are specific duties. They are known as prescribed duties for every Varna and every Ashrama. Right? A Grihastha householder is supposed to take care of his family, his children, for their material welfare and also spiritual welfare. That is called Grihastha. So like this, the system of Varnashrama very clearly prescribes specific prescribed duties for everybody. Right? And this, when one is performing their duties properly, it is going to satisfy the Supreme Personality of God. Then it is said to be that, and he said that we have a person is properly situated in one of the 4 Varnas and Ashramas. This is the understanding. So the goal of Varnashrama is basically to educate every person to advance in the spiritual journey of life, to reach the perfection of human life. That is, to advance in the knowledge of Lord Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because human life is meant for God realization. If you don't perform the duties in that direction, then just go on doing whatever in a way we think is correct, or whimsically performing things, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. This is what the modern day society is thinking. Modern day society thinks there is no actual goal in life. Goal in life is to enjoy life. Enjoyment for them means sense gratification. And sense gratification centered around eating, sleeping, mating, defending is what they think life is. So this is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic literatures, that such a life is an animalistic life. It's not going to lead us to the perfection of human life. Right? If you want to, human life is meant to end the cycle of birth and death. Human life is meant to return back to spiritual world. That is the purpose. Right? If this purpose, if this goal is not kept in mind and we don't act in that direction, then the purpose of human life is defeated. Parabhavastavad abodha jataha. Bhagavad says that the purpose of human life is not achieved, then the very reason why we got to human life is defeated. It's not fulfilled. So we need to be very careful. So the Varnasrama is meant to train everybody in the human society from the birth to move towards the goal of human life. That is the purpose. Now, let us analyze some aspects. What we call it as Hinduism, which we say we belong to this Hindu religion. What is Hinduism in the present day society? Right? What is that we are following as Hinduism mostly? Basically, mostly we are following a very vitiated caste system. Even all of us in the modern educated society, we don't like it. Right? We often see a lot of comments, and people are very unhappy with the way the whole society is situated. Anywhere you would like to apply for a job, or you would like to go for any professional course, always you are asked for what is your caste. And based on the caste, there are reservations made. So this caste system, what you see now, is actually a degraded system of what actually was a very scientific way of working. Why it is so, we'll try to understand. This Varnasrama presently is accepted in a perverted way as a very stereotyped caste system. Say, for example, somebody is called as a Brahmana just because he is born in a Brahmana family. Or somebody is known as a Kshatriya because I'm born in a Kshatriya family. And we claim that birthright, caste by birthright, and saying that, oh, I'm a big Brahmana. Brahmana means I'm very knowledgeable, all these things. Even though he doesn't have any knowledge, he has not got any training, no qualification, but he's claiming that I'm so and so. That is what is known as vitiated caste system, or a stereotyped caste system. It's like somebody is born in the family of doctors. Yes, he has a better opportunity, a child, a boy or a girl, to become a doctor. But unless the boy or a child goes through a proper schooling and college and medical college, then the certification is given. He is not called a doctor. He or she is not called a doctor. Likewise, the Varnasrama system very clearly defines that unless the person acquires the actual quality, or he has actual the qualification, he cannot be called by that particular Varna. Right? So this is the present day society. Actually, in fact, the present day system, what you see is so much become a hodgepodge type of a life that people are not following any of the rules, regulations of any Varna ashrama. A Brahmachari or a student life. In student life, you're supposed to lead a life of complete celibacy, either a boy or a girl. But nowadays, the encouragement, or rather the way systems are that a co-education is happening from the very beginning of life. A student who is just 10 years, 12 years old, a boy or a girl thinks, we have to think about sex life. Whereas this was not the case in the Vedic system. Right now, the students are so much absorbed in things which are not supposed to be thought about. The media, the internet is all bombarding them with so much of information. Oh, this is how you should lead a sex life. This is how you should enjoy life. right? The modern way of thinking is, modern society's thinking is, eat, drink, be merry. Who has seen the next life? It's completely atheistic philosophy. Right? You just go on enjoying life. You have life. You got a beautiful body. Enjoy with opposite sex. You drink alcohol. You smoke. You do whatever. You enjoy life because you don't know what is going to happen next. This is the type of understanding which is being given to the modern society or the youngsters in the present day situation. They have become a headache for all of us actually, because they have been somehow the society has become like that. The movies are made in that way. The television serials are made in that way. The internet is loaded with such information, right? And it is very easy to access now such information. Earlier, at least, there was no internet, there was no television or such things. Difficult to access. But nowadays, everybody, with a click of a button, they can access the information, right? And recently, there was a news wherein it is said a child of just 12 years, he was on an online, some lottery game. And he had somehow spent 40,000 rupees. He lost. And he became so depressed that he committed suicide and he left a suicide note to his parents. Mommy, I'm very sorry that I lost 40,000 rupees. I'm very depressed. I'm ending my life. Just see, a 12-year-old boy in Madhya Pradesh, he has done this. And we have been seeing how the online games are, there was so many games were there. Are there even now, which is actually making children getting addicted to them, youngsters getting addicted to them. So where are we heading towards is the question. So present day society, basically you can see it is a very perverted way of following what is actually the Varnasrama system in their own understanding. So basically the whole society is so scientifically, it is classified into different varnas and ashramas. And they are supposed to follow their rules, regulations properly, prescribe duties properly, and that way move towards the goal of their life. Right now, people think, oh, just because I'm born, my forefathers were born in Brahmana family, so I am also a Brahmana. But actually, doesn't have any qualification of a Brahmana. He's a Brahmana, but he's be working as a mechanic in some workshop. This was not the system. Doesn't mean that mechanic work is very degraded. No, mechanic work is done by one class of people. Not that everybody can do anything and everything. No. This is what has happened now. Somebody is claiming I'm a Brahmana, but he's doing Shudra work. And a Shudra is doing Kshatriya work. Like that, things have become hodgepodge. Let us move forward. The Vedic literatures actually reject such a system. Whatever people are following right now, they reject such a system of whatever you want to follow whimsically, whatever way you think is correct. That is not the way. Vedic system is based on the qualifications a boy or a girl has acquired. Based on that, he is classified to belong to that. Right? It is regardless of your birth or heredity, you should be qualified. I would like to quote a small story here. It is about one boy by name Satyakama Jabala. So he was very interested to study Vedic literatures. So he approached one of the rishis, Gautama Rishi, and requested, please teach me Vedic literatures. And the rishi asked that boy, Jabala, who is your father? This boy didn't know who is his father. He went to his mother and started asking, Mother, who is my father? Mother said, I don't know, because she was a prostitute. So this boy, unhesitatingly, he just came and reported the same thing that my mother also doesn't know, because she is a prostitute. Immediately, Rishi accepted his boy to be trained under him for Vedic understanding, because he has the quality of truthfulness, honesty. This is one of the important qualities of a spiritual guide. It's known as a Brahmana. Again, Brahmana is not a caste. It is a qualification. Just like we said, doctor, engineer. When you go to a doctor for any treatment, you don't ask, oh, which caste you belong to. We just going there and you seeing his qualification, we take treatment from that person and then we come out. It's like that. So Brahmana is not a caste. It's a qualification. And Brahmanas means they are spiritual guides to guide the society for the betterment of whole society. That's the idea. So in that way, by birth, by heredity, anybody is claiming that I'm so and so is a wrong system. Vedic literatures reject such a system. Right now, the system in the, at least in Indian society, has become like that, that based on some caste by birth is the type of a system which in Hindu religion we're trying to follow. Even though we don't have qualification of that particular Varna, which we claim that I belong to this. Right? And one more aspect with the present Hindu society or the Indian society is that our philosophy, our understanding is influenced by the Mayavada philosophy of Sripada Shankaracharya. Right? We have heard about Sripada Shankaracharya in one of our previous sessions, how he glorified Bhagavad Gita so well. He's written the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya. He is the incarnation of Lord Shiva, in fact. So, Sripada Shankaracharya is our Acharya. We offer our respects to him. He propagated a philosophy known as Mayavada philosophy. What is this Mayavada philosophy? Mayavada philosophy, frankly speaking, it is actually atheism. In a different way, like sugar-coated way, it is atheism. So what are the different aspects of Mayavada philosophy? It teaches that the absolute truth or God is ultimately impersonal. He doesn't have any form. He is formless. And this Mayavada philosophy also teaches that there is no existence of God and the demigods ultimately. This is Mayavada philosophy. Mayavada philosophy says we all are actually God. Now that we are covered, influenced by Maya, our influence of God is covered now. Once we become liberated, we also become merged with the impersonal Brahman. We become formless and we also become powerful. Like that, so many such conceptions are being propagated. And Mayavada philosophy also says that if God exists, he is impersonal and all-pervading and can therefore be imagined in any form. They think that because God has no form, we can imagine any form of God, and then that way, once we become liberated, we again become formless. These impersonalists or Mayavadis, they imagine various demigods to be forms of Lord. Like they imagine they have some system of worship known as the Panchopasana. They say that you can imagine the form of Vishnu or Durga, Ganesha, Shiva, or Surya Deva. Either of these forms you can imagine, and as long as you're in the material world having a form, you worship. After that, you can reject them. That is the type of understanding which the Mayavadis propagate. This Panchopasana and all is not even mentioned in the Vedic literatures, in Bhagavad Gita. Right? So they actually don't believe in the form of Krishna. Right? That Lord, the Supreme Lord Krishna, Narayana, and just for the sake of some worship, they imagine some form of a God. That is the type of philosophy they propagate. And also, as I told you, they imagine some form. Like you can imagine Vishnu form, Ganesha form, Durga form, Shiva form, Sun God form, and then you worship. This is very common in our Indian society, in this Hindu society at least. These people you can worship, these personalities you can worship that way. But they don't believe that God actually has a form in the ultimate sense. That is Mayavada philosophy. So none of these are authoritative, whatever just now I mentioned. The Mayavada philosophy, which is very prevalent in the modern day Hindu society. These are not at all authoritative and they are not mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita nor Vedic literatures. They're all a very concocted way of presentation of the whole philosophy of their own. Right? Whereas we can see very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita accepts the existence of devatas. Whereas Mayavada philosophy denies the existence of demigods, devatas, and God also. They say ultimately everything is impersonal. Whereas Bhagavad Gita clearly says about the existence of demigods, the different Vedic understandings describe about different devatas. So there is no question of any denial of their existence, devata existence. It's just that some people like Mayavadis, they are imagining that there is no such personalities. In fact, Bhagavad Gita says that there are devatas existence. Devatas are like different universal managers appointed by Supreme Lord Krishna for different universal affairs, management of different universal affairs. And Bhagavad Gita very clearly says these various universal managers called Devatas, it's like there is Indra, who is in charge of rain department. There is Vayudeva in charge of the wind department. Just like in the government, there are different departments, railway department, water resource department, like that. So there are various departments in the universal management of this whole, cosmos. So Lord Krishna has appointed around 33 crore devatas to manage the different aspects of the universal affairs. So each of these devatas are given different responsibilities. It's very clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita says these different officers or managers are all subordinate to Supreme Lord Krishna. They are not themselves supreme. They are dependent on Krishna for their powers. So Bhagavad Gita denies it condemns the worship of devatas. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita which clearly says this. Kamesh sesya ritagyana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamasthaya prakritya niyatasvaya. Now Krishna says, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto devatas and follow particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So this verse clearly indicates that those who are worshipping different devatas, other than Lord Krishna is Supreme God. Other than Krishna, if you are worshipping any devata, Krishna very clearly says your intelligence has been stolen away, which means you have some ulterior motives, you have some material desires, you have some agenda in your life, right? I want to satisfy this material desires, sense gratification desires. So you go to different devatas. It's like I'm having some health problem, I go to one devata. I have some wealth problem, I go to one devata. I want to get married, I go to one devata. I'm not getting child, I go to one devata. So like this, you go to different devatas and worship them to fulfill your material desires, to fulfill your material demands. So this is the type of society we have right now living in. We think our different needs and sense gratificatory demands should be satisfied. Let us go to different devatas. Oh, because I'm having a lot of problems, let me go to Shani Devata. So the question is whether these things is correct, way of doing this is correct or wrong. First and foremost, it's like telling that you have a problem, some really law and order problem is there. You approach a police station. If you consider a police constable sitting in the police station as ultimate or everything, that is your mistaken understanding. You have to understand that police station is headed by one superintendent of police, or police in charge is there. You have to approach him for any, for the solution to your problems. That is the whole point, because the orders from the police in charge is followed by all the down the line, all the other constables and other people there. That's the understanding. So Krishna very clearly says, if you are going to demigods, devatas for worshipping them, which means you are actually having some material desires, sense gratification desires which you would like to fulfill. That's why you're approaching devatas. Similarly, it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita further in the 2nd chapter. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya aparata chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Lord Krishna says, if your minds are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination to devotional service to Supreme Lord does not take place. Again, there is a confirmation from Lord Krishna telling that if your mind is going off here and there, why? Because you are attracted for some sense gratification, satisfaction, or you want some material opulence. So then, for you, a determination to follow bhakti. Bhakti is only for Lord Krishna. That doesn't arise in your heart. And further, in one more place, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Antavantu phalam tesham tad bhavatyalpa medasam devan deva ejo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. This means, again, Krishna is confirming that men of small intelligence, alpa medasam, they worship the devatas and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the devatas go to planets of devatas, and my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So again, Krishna is confirming that you worship devatas, you are less intelligent, and you are only running after temporary results. And those who worship Krishna, they look forward for a final destination to really get relief from the cycle of birth and death, get relief from this miserable world. Mukti. Only mukti Krishna can give. No other devata can give us mukti. This is the very clear understanding from the Vedic literatures. So now the question may come up in most of us. If Shankaracharya is Lord Shiva's incarnation, and Lord Shiva is such a nice, great devotee of Lord Krishna, why did he introduce Mayavada, first of all, in society? Maybe a question. So it is very nicely explained in the Vedic literatures. Shankaracharya's mission, who is actually incarnation of Lord Shiva, was a very special mission. He came at a time when there was a rampant Buddhism being practiced and propagated all over India, right? And in fact, this Buddhism was so much prevalent in the whole society that the kings patronized the influence of Buddhism to spread all over. So basically, Shankaracharya appeared to re-establish Vedic influence after the influence of Buddhism. Right? Why it happened like this is that Buddhism was so much prevalent that even Emperor Ashoka, during his time, he patronized and he spread Buddhism like anything. Every citizen was trying to follow Buddhism. So basically, Buddha, as an incarnation of Lord Krishna, he had a very special power and he had appeared for special purpose. He appeared at a time when there was a rampant killing of animals in the name of sacrifice, and people were misusing the animal sacrifice mentioned in Vedic literatures as a means for their sense gratification. Means, oh, I want to kill animal, I want to taste animals, I want to eat animals, so I just kill them whenever I want, in the pretext of Vedic sacrifices. So when Buddha appeared, he wanted to stop this immediately because unnecessarily animals were being killed just for the sake of satisfaction of our palate. So Buddha came and immediately rejected this whole way of animal sacrifices, and he also said that I don't accept the Vedas. You follow what I am telling you. In fact, he preached the philosophy known as Ahimso Paramo Dharma. Ahimsa is the greatest type of religion you have to follow because people are doing himsa, violence in the name of religion. So in fact, in that way, Lord Buddha appearance was like an emergency situation wherein he had to come and put some prohibitions and change the rules for the time being. Just like when there is a curfew, what happens? When a curfew is there, a section 144 is imposed, there are some normal life is hampered. It is put for some reason. There is some reason why the government imposes a curfew. Likewise, Krishna had to come and he has to, in the incarnation, he has to say that I don't accept Vedas. In fact, Vedas are actually the source of knowledge about Krishna himself. But the time being, emergency situation was such that he had to reject Vedas for that situation, that particular purpose. So, Buddha rejected the Vedas because in the name of Vedas, they were misusing the different animal sacrificial activities and killing on animals. So, as Buddhism was spreading, Vedic culture was practically stopped, both in India and other places. So Shankaracharya's main purpose or the main aim was to drive away Buddha's system of philosophy and introduce Vedic scriptures again. So there's a need. Vedas are the source of knowledge for the Vedic human society. And without Vedas, there is no direction for the human society. So there was a need felt. There's a nice description in one of the Puranas wherein Lord Vishnu himself orders Lord Shiva that you take birth as Shankaracharya and you preach this philosophy of Mayavada and introduce the Vedic understanding, because Mayavada basically is based on Vedic philosophy only. The same Vedic literatures, they twist and they interpret in their own way. At least Vedas are introduced in society. That was the purpose. So Lord Shiva was ordered by Lord Vishnu himself to do this. That is the reason. Now, we also see that the present day Indian society is influenced by what is known as Karma Mimamsa philosophy. Now, we discussed first about the caste system, next about the influence of Mayavada philosophy. Third, we see in the Indian society, Hindu society, we have something known as Karma Mimamsa philosophy. This philosophy states that this world is going on, everything is going on very well, We did not have any God's intervention here. Right? You work hard, you sincerely work hard, honestly work hard, results will come. That is the way they interpret. Right? So they also have the philosophy that everything takes place by lust, kama. A lusty man becomes attracted to a woman, and by chance there is sex, and woman becomes pregnant. Which means they say everything is is going on so automatically, so nicely. There is no requirement of God at all here. They also give an example. It's like, you are diseased, you go to a doctor, you get treated, and just finish. You're done. Your disease is cured. Likewise, they take things in a way as though there is no involvement of Supreme Lord in any activity. Everything is going on automatically, systematically, the way nature is going on. This is their philosophy, right? So this philosophy holds good that there is world is going on nicely without any supreme direction of God, without any supreme intervention of God. This is their philosophy. This is what is very much prevalent nowadays in society also, you can see. Whereas Bhagavad Gita describes this understanding as asuric or demoniac way of life. Because the very definition of a demon or asura means that he denies the existence of God. He says there is no God, there is no foundation. Everything is going on naturally. And who has created the nature? That they can't answer. Nature is working under direction of Krishna. Krishna very clearly says in Bhagavad Gita. This is the understanding. So they say everything is happening by chance, resulting natural selection. By chance you're taken a birth, by chance you get educated, by chance you get married, by chance you get a job. All is by chance. They very much believe in this chance theory. Right? So this is a very, very non-acceptable understanding which they propagate and which is going on right now. So you go on working nicely and honestly, automatically result will come without need for one to refer to God. This is the philosophy they are going on. Why you have to worship God? You go on working honestly, sincerely. Right? So the example I gave you, a diseased person with an infection, you just take medicine to counteract the disease and everything will be neutralized. Our argument for this is, even though you are, you may be diseased. You may go to doctor, you get the best medicine. Unless and until there is a supreme sanction of God, Krishna, your disease cannot be cured. Right? Even the doctors do best. Oh, I did my best. I did the best of the operations. I gave the best of the medicine, best of the treatment. Finally, they also say, if God sanctions, this patient may survive. Otherwise, we can't do anything. So the Vedic scriptures give us the understanding that there's a greater plan for everything. The Vedic plan for the humans, which the modern society, especially the Hindu society, the Indian Hindu society, is not having this understanding, mostly. But there's a greater plan for everything. There's a Vedic plan for the human society. And this they are lacking. So Vedas very clearly reject such conceptions that, there is no plan, everything is happening by chance, and based on necessity, everything is going on. This is a very, unacceptable statement with Vedas, because in the nature, you see, everything is going very systematically as per the plan. There's a big arrangement, systematic arrangement in the whole nature. Sun is rising timely, seasons are changing timely. Many things are happening very wonderfully, so systematically, as though somebody is very systematically planned this. Right? So whereas if you simply make a statement that, nothing, there is no plan, there is all happening by chance, or based on necessities, everything is happening. That is actually a very vague and a very irresponsible statement. Right? So Srimad Bhagavatam says, as I told you, even if you give best of the medicine to someone, still the patient may die. In fact, one of our acharyas by name Prahlad, he gives wonderful examples. He says, you may have very good father and mother, but there is no guarantee that the child will have all the protection, all the care, just because you have good father and mother. You may have the most best of the ships made, and it is made to sail on the ocean or the sea. But in the very first voyage, the ship may sink. You know the example of Titanic. The best of the arrangements were made. The most influential people of the world were on the board on their first voyage, and the ship in the very first voyage it sunk. This is how the world is. So we have to understand, recognize that there's a greater plan. There's a bigger arrangement. There's a bigger hand of one supreme personality who is managing and actually controlling everything. This recognition is important. So there's a higher authority, supreme director known as Daiva Netrena. This is exactly what Lord Krishna is explaining in the Bhagavad Gita. So as we're discussing, this by chance a boy and a girl meets, or a man and woman meet, they have sex and pregnancy happens. It is again a wrong philosophy. By chance, sex life is rejected in the Vedic literatures. In fact, it is very nicely explained in the Bhagavata that a boy and a girl, or rather a man and a woman, may have sex, but the placement of the soul in the womb of that woman is only possible by the sanction of a supreme authority, the will of providence. Lord Krishna has to sanction. Right? Jantur dehopapattaye. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapattaye. Striya udara pravishtam. Very nicely it is explained in the Bhagavata. If that Lord Krishna is sanctioned that this particular soul has to be placed in the womb of a particular mother, only then the soul takes shelter in the mother's womb. Otherwise, every time you have sex, there is no pregnancy. So why it is happening is not a chance. Lord's sanction is there. This we have to identify. So specific directions for men and women to beget children are given in the Garbhadhana Samskar. See, all this philosophy of Karma Mimamsa or Mayavada philosophy, which is actually leading to the understanding that there is no God. Anything and everything we can do. There is no regulation in life. Whereas the Vedic regulation, even to beget a child in a married life, there is a regulation known as Garbhadhana Samskar, wherein a man and a woman, they plan to have a child. It's not a very private thing or a secret thing. It is open. Everybody knows, oh, this family would like to have a child. Garbhadhana Samskara means man and woman are getting themselves ready spiritually, because a child is born means it's the responsibility of father, mother to take care of them for life. And also see that the child's spiritual progress happens properly. All these considerations were there for giving birth to a child. Nowadays, boy or a girl or a man, woman think, okay, just for enjoyment we can have sex. This was not allowed. That's why present society, neither the married couple nor any man, woman are following rules, regulations. The population which is coming out of such a society is known as Varnasankara. This is exactly what Arjuna is telling in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says Varnasankara means unwanted population who doesn't know what is rule, regulations of society, who is not inclined to follow any system of understanding required for spiritual progress, no interest in spiritual understanding. Varnasankara, the classic example is hippie population. So in fact, the whole society is like that. The children, the youth which is coming up in society, they're not inclined for spirituality, because the very fact that the way they are born is in a different way. They're not born with that culture, spiritual culture. That is the reason. So we are in a very vulnerable situation right now. The society is having people known as Varnasankara, and Arjuna is predicting that Varnasankara population is going to make the whole life of everybody hellish, very miserable. We cannot peacefully say that we can go in a street peacefully now. Anything anybody can do, right? That is the way system. That is the way presently society is going on. So Bhagavad Gita is confirming this aspect. It says, Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosvi bharatashava. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to the Vedic principles. So Krishna is telling very clearly in this verse that sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, that I am. Which means dharma aviruddha bhuteshu. Dharma, as per dharmic principles, what sex life people have in the married life, garbhadana samskara, that sex life I am, Krishna says. Anything against this, it is called adharma. Right now, practically, most of the society is not following dharmic principles, at least in terms of begetting children, because of which we are getting unwanted population, Varnasrama. Is creating a lot of troubles for everybody, all of us. So the Krishna consciousness movement, I'm just coming to the conclusion of our presentation. The Krishna consciousness movement, which is established by founder Srila Prabhupada, is not in any way a faith or religion to defeat other faiths or religion. Let us be very clear. We are not here to say that, oh, we are better than you. Oh, this faith is nothing, we are best. No, we are not claiming that. Rather, it is an essential cultural movement for the entire human society. In fact, the Vedic principles are introduced in society. The roots of Vedas are again imparted to the whole society in a very systematic manner. This is the very purpose. Srila Prabhupada, when he established ISKCON, he mentioned there is a lot of imbalance of values in society right now. The society is, this Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON, is meant to address that imbalance of values and give a systematic education of Vedic values as given in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata. Right? So this Krishna consciousness movement is an essential cultural movement for the entire human society. And we are not preaching any particular sectarian faith. Right? We are not telling you follow this particular type of rules, regulations, rituals, then you will become this, you will become that. No. The universally applicable principles are being taught in Krishna consciousness movement. Right? We are not telling that, you change from your one faith, what you are following, to this faith. No. That also we are not doing that. It is you are preaching a universal understanding of what is soul, a scientific understanding, scientific approach of the life and the problems, how to solve the problems of life. So, we are not preaching any of the present day Hindu society's different anomalies. We can say, just now we discussed about the vitiated caste system, or the Mayavada philosophy, or the Karma Mimamsa philosophy, or the theory of chance and material necessity. None of these things we are preaching. In fact, we are preaching the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Vedic literatures in a very, very purified form. Right? The whole goal of this Krishna consciousness is to simply educate people how to love God, how to become a lover of God and perfect your life. That is the philosophy which is being taught in this whole understanding. And in this philosophy, we are trying to, in this movement, we are trying to establish the right system of human civilization known as Daivi Varnasrama, divine culture. As I told you, the Varnasrama means 4 spiritual divisions, 4 social divisions. So presently, these 4 spiritual divisions or 4 social divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or 4 spiritual divisions of Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa cannot be followed or implemented right now in the human society. Because the whole way the society has structured and has come about is not trained from the very beginning. There is no samskaras, there is no garbhadana samskara being followed. Right? So many anomalies are there. So what is being introduced by Krishna consciousness movement is Daivi Varnasrama, wherein in whatever situation you are in, you may be a professional, you may be an ordinary worker, you may be whatever you are, whatever background it is yours. You be in your situation and you follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, like chanting Hare Krishna mantra, offering the food what you eat to Krishna and having it as prasadam, and performing kirtana in your home, worshipping Lord Krishna. Like this, some simple things are being recommended. This is called Daivi Varnasrama, wherein you can stay in your own position and perform and practice Bhakti Yoga. That is the understanding. Right? So Krishna consciousness is giving a spiritual culture that can solve all the problems of life. Right? The present day society, there's a scarcity of the spiritual guides actually. So that need is fulfilled by this Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON society, wherein the society is creating spiritual guides, and the present day society, so many discrepancies which are there. thus can be addressed in a very nice way, in a wonderful manner. Right? So ISKCON is giving chance for everyone to become spiritual guide. Anybody from any background, as I told you, is not limiting to your previous qualification. What you want to practice, and what you want to become is in your hands. Right? It's not by birth. Right? So once the brain is perfectly in order, other parts of the body, such as arms, belly, and legs, act nice. It's a very wonderful example Prabhupada gives. See, our society's brain are the spiritual guides. If that is not in order, everything other than that is not in proper giving proper directions, then all other parts will not function properly. Right? If proper direction is given, other parts of the body function properly. If your brain is properly functioning, you can speak sensibly. You can act things in a more sensible manner. The present society, because the brain is not properly trained, rather there is no class of people known as spiritual guides, spiritual mentors, because of which people think anything and everything is okay. A permissive society of free intermingling of opposite sex is okay. Having alcohol consumption at any age, whatever you think, is status of society, a status symbol. Like this, many wrong way of cultures, wrong lifestyles has been introduced in society, because of which the whole society is going through a turmoil right now. They think, oh, what is the right thing to do? The high-class society means you have to drink wine, you have to eat meat, you have to mingle with, freely with opposite sex. It's considered to be very high-class society. It's a wrong understanding. So basically, because there's no guidance, no proper direction, misdirected. Prabhupada said, the present society is a misdirected modern civilization. Right? So proper directions are given by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, which is being practiced by at least few people, and they become guides, they become ideals for showing society what is the right thing. That's the point. So with this, I conclude today's presentation, telling that ISKCON is not any sectarian religion or sectarian faith. It is not a Hindu religion. Rather, it is having the divine connection with our Vedic culture. It is propagating the divine culture of Daivi Varnasrama. Right? So with this, I conclude today's presentation. If anybody has anything to ask, discuss, we can take a few questions and discussion points.
Jai Shri Krishna, Guruji.
Yes.
I have some open question in my mind, which we discuss. You have just give your thoughts to us. How to control in the present scenario, you said, in a day we are giving the chance to our child to access the internet and something like that. So it is my basic need for my child to give this opportunity to use the internet. I agree on this point because in present scenario we cannot control. I believe that, thinking like that. So second question is that second question you said ki we won. So we should not say ki I'm a Brahman. Like the concept you have said, doctor is a doctor when he get the qualification only, right? So I'm a Brahman from by birth, because as per the last I birth in the Brahman family, because my father is a astrologist.
Okay.
So I just want to know what should I say for myself.
Good questions. First question about children having some control on the media and the internet access. Yes, as a responsible parent, as a responsible father, mother, it is very important that we train the children what is good, what is bad. The Bhagavata says that you have taken the responsibility of father and mother. It's your very important. It becomes your duty to train your subordinates so that they are not misled, because that is one of your responsibilities, to become father and mother. Otherwise, scripture says, why are you becoming father and mother otherwise? So it is your responsibility to see that you train your children, your subordinates, to understand what is correct, what is wrong.
Agree.
At that level, you have to really bring in some systems in place in your children's life. Right? They have to be made aware of these things. That is your responsibility. Okay. And secondly, with regard to your background, being the son of an astrologer, or a Brahmana, and what is my status is your second question. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. So let me tell you, I may have whatever my father is. He may be a Brahmana, or he may be a priest, or he may be a big king in the previous life, whatever it is. But right now, what I am by nature, what is my inclination by nature, is what I am. Okay. So that's what I was trying to tell you. By nature, I may be the son of a Brahmana. Okay, by birth, I am son of a Brahmana, but by nature, I'm inclined to do business, which means I have a Vaishya inclination. So like this, determining things of what you are right now is not easy. Okay, so what is very easy is in whatever situation you are in. So we are not going here to determine what we are, which Varna we belong to, right? So in that way, we cannot ascertain which Varna we belong to or which ashrama we are strictly following. Because all the prescribed duties of specific Varna and ashrama is not being followed in the Kali Yuga. Nobody is following. Srila Prabhupada says it's a hodgepodge society. No systems there. Somewhere something they are following. So best is in whatever situation you are in whichever background you are in, to start practicing what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, which is known as Daivi Varanasrama. Daivi Varanasrama means you may not be able to ascertain specifically which Varna as per the Vedic rules regulations, but whatever occupation I am doing. So, for example, if you're an IT specialist may design some games, video games, which in one sense, any game is like a gambling. Which means you are a very expert intellectual person, but you are doing activity which is actually not sanctioned by the Vedic way of functioning. You may say, I am not actually playing it, I'm just designing it, I'm programming it and giving it to society. That is my livelihood. But you are doing something promoting gambling in society. It is sinful. So directly, indirectly, we're doing so many things which are all interconnected in our society, which is leading to one or more sinful activities. So how do you ascertain that which Varna I belong to, basically? So in that way, in that context, specifically mentioning what is my status, what I should do, or from the Vedic perspective, is not easy to determine. What is easy to say is that, yes, I'm in a particular situation because of the present day society. Whatever it is, I will simply follow what Lord Krishna is telling me in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Man manabhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Chant Hare Krishna, you worship Krishna, you offer your namaskar to Krishna and offer whatever you're eating to Krishna. Lead a life like this, and with your duty, what you're doing, what you're earning, spend that hard-earned money for these activities of chanting and trying to see that you spread the message of Lord Krishna to one and everybody. That is going to purify your existence. Otherwise, strictly following from the Vedic perspective to what I belong to and what I should do, it is not easy in the present day society. So this is my answer for your question. I hope it is satisfactory. Okay. Yeah. We have Krishna Rajji lifting his hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you for all your sessions. I've been attending a few sessions regularly. I would like to know how to get in touch with you so that we can also do something similar for our community here.
Very nice. I will. My contact number is with Ranaji. You can always get in touch with me. I will also type in the chat now my number and the email ID. You can get in touch with me directly also. Thank you so much for your words of appreciation. We will be happy to be part of your any other propaganda work or preaching work in your society or community. Thank you. Prabhu. Anything else? Okay. So thank you everybody for being part of this session.
Good morning, sir. Sorry, I'm disturbed.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Last week sessions I missed, sir. 2 weeks. I was very keenly looking forward to, but anyhow I could not attend. And today it was all about the faith and religion. like
Okay.
आप बात कर रहे थे. So my concern over here is, born as a Hindu, born as into a Rajput Kshatriya clan, we worship so many deities.
Okay.
We also worship Shiv, we also worship Ma Durga. We also, my near to my heart is Krishna. So, and Hanuman is also there, Hanumanji is there, Ganesh is there. 4 to 5 eternal deities we all do. So sometimes I ponder as a when I do worshipping and all, actually I keep flipping from one god to another god. Sometimes in prayers, sometimes I feel so much love and affection for Krishna, other time I feel for Shiv, then the third time I feel for Ma Durga. Blessings are required. So sometimes I feel why I'm not able to follow one particular deity at a moment, why I keep like pondering which one to follow and which one. Like, it's not about leaving. In one go, I chant all the mantras of all the 5 deities. But then it is like, आप मेरा question समझने की कोशिश करेगा कि sometimes it is a state of confusion which one to follow. Usually हम लोग result oriented worshipping करते हैं. इसकी पूजा करेंगे तो जल्दी से ये काम हो जाएगा. That kind of thing. But ऐसा होता नहीं है. My concern over here is कि my heart and soul do not follow one god at a time. It is not only Krishna, it is also Shiv. Belonging to Varanasi, Kashi Vishwanath is very close to. I always like morning, noon, and night. It's like it's going on in my head. So which one? It's like everybody is close to my heart, on and off. So what's the answer to it, sir? मैं थोड़ा ponder करती हूँ उससे like.
Okay. That answered your point. I got your point. Basically, you're telling that my mind is not steady with regard to what I should follow. Because our Hindu religion is offering so many types of worship of so many aspects of different devatas, devis. So what I should follow? That's what your point is, right? Am I right? Is your question? Hare Krishna. Have I worded the question correctly?
Yes, sir, you have got it. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So basically, let me tell you, sessions, whatever you have taken earlier, are all in the YouTube. In our Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir YouTube, there's a playlist called Science of Self-Realization. If you go to Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir YouTube, there's a playlist on the Science of Self-Realization. All the sessions previously taken is all there. Anytime you can always refer. Okay. Having said that, with regard to the confusions what we have right now, in our not only with you, it is for almost everybody, what I should follow. Even myself, before coming in touch with the organization ISKCON, I was also like one of you, right? I'm not saying that I become very great now, but at least I have got clarity. I know what is the way forward. That is the point. The whole confusion is because we have been, in fact, in the last few sessions, we have been discussing on this point only. We have been taught that whatever you follow is correct. Yato mat tato pat. Okay, that is one thing which is being propagated, and this is known as Mayavada philosophy.
Okay.
Mayavada philosophy, basically, it is taking the shelter of Vedic understanding, but it is misinterpreting the Vedic understanding. Just like one of the Upanishads says that God is so fast that he can walk so swiftly that he has no legs.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't mean that, which means it can be interpreted from the Mayavadi saying that, oh, so God is telling, or God's nature is that he has no legs, which means he is legless, he is handless, he is headless. So this is basically, from the Vedic perspective, actual understanding is that he doesn't have legs and hands like us, like literal hands. When you offer food to God, Krishna, he eats, but he doesn't eat like us. He has spiritual way of eating his food and spiritualizing the whole food what you have kept in front of me, right? So I hope I'm audible to everybody. Hare Krishna.
Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir.
The message that I'm not audible. Okay.
No, sir, you are.
So the way Krishna takes food and the way definition of what is God is very nicely explained in the Upanishads and the Vedic literatures, especially in the Bhagavad Gita. Right.
Mhm.
So we, because of our ignorance of what is definition of God, we start imagining something about God. That is our ignorance. Right? So there is a way, there is a specific way things function in this material world. Everything is nicely described in the Vedic literatures. So we need to understand them, go through proper understanding in the right way. Then knowledge is revealed to us. Right. Otherwise, simply on your own way, whatever you think is correct, whatever way I feel is correct, you go on doing things and resort to some wrong interpretations of things that will not lead us to the proper direction. Just like when you want to take up a professional course, you have a very deliberate discussion on what I should do. You definitely consult some experts, some of your colleagues or very close friends, close relatives who have already done that. Say, I would like to take up this course. What are the various challenges in this direction? And what do you direct for me? What do you guide for me in this direction? Right? So, when it comes to spirituality, we think it is all freestyle. Anything, everything, anybody can follow. Whatever I feel is good, I can do. That is the way we have been, rather nobody has taught us or nobody has given us any training. That is the problem. So, from this, in the spiritual, when it comes to the point of spiritual understanding, it is very important that we need to go through a proper, strict spiritual discipline. Right? Discipline is what we have been discussing in the previous sessions, that we need to approach a bona fide spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master is one who is only talking about spirituality and your spiritual well-being. There is no material considerations here. Oh, you become my disciple, I will make you rich person. You become a disciple, all your material problems are solved. That is not spirituality.
Yes, sir.
So spirituality means you are looking for, I want to purchase 1 kilo of diamond. I'll go to this Kirana shop. You will be called a foolish person. You don't know what is diamond. And you're going to a shop where you don't get diamond at all. And diamond is not that's a commodity sold in kgs. So basically, some common sense and some basic understanding is required about spirituality and going forward. What I'm looking forward for. If you just analyze some basic aspects of our life only. See, we as a human being, we are all growing old every day. Right now, say from here now, next 10 years, I would have grown 10 years older. After 20 years, 20 years older. Maybe 30 years, I may leave or not leave. We don't know. The point is, we are growing old every day. We are approaching death every day. And I'm experiencing diseases in this course of becoming old and approaching death. What is the solution? I don't want this. What is the solution for this? This is something, a very basic question which should be triggering our understanding and wanting to know how to get the solution for this. I don't want to die, but why am I being forced to die? The present situation of what we are going through. All of us want to battle this and want to somehow become victorious from this whole situation. Why? Because all of us want to go on living, because that is the nature of soul. Now, Bhagavad Gita very clearly says in the very beginning that soul doesn't die, doesn't take birth. What is taking birth? What is dying? Our body. Why I got the body? Why I'm suffering like this? These are all some very basic spiritual questions. It's called Brahma Jigyasa, which you're supposed to have in your consciousness. When you are serious to know answers for them, Lord sitting as Paramatma in your heart will guide you to a proper spiritual guide, proper spiritual mentor. So you don't have hunger, spiritual hunger, then there is no need for you, because already you think I'm satisfied and whatever I eat is okay. If that is your way of functioning, then you will not progress. Basically, if you want to be guided seriously in spiritual understanding, if that real hankering is there, then you will be guided forward. That's what I mean to say. Because Lord is sitting as Paramatma. He knows every aspect of your intention, desire, purpose, what you want to do in your life. And He will guide you and take you forward in your life in a way that is very suitable for your spiritual progress. Having said this much, in fact, the organization which Srila Prabhupada has established, ISKCON movement, it has so nicely established with the vision that going forward for the next 10,000 years, this organization should benefit every human being on this earth. The ISKCON movement is not only physically present as organizations, temples across India, across the world, it also is virtually present, and we have devotees all over. And all devotees will speak the same language because they're speaking from the instructions and teachings which is given by Srila Prabhupada, who is giving his teachings based on Bhagavad Gita. So we all speak the same language, just like the doctor fraternity will speak the same language. Your professor fraternity of particular subject will speak the same language because you're all best understanding based on a specific scientific subject. Likewise, spiritual understanding is a science. It's not simply some concoction and whatever I feel is good, I will do. Tomorrow I don't like, I'll change this faith. No, it is not like that. It's all based on some very solid principles, solid, concrete understanding. This requires some systematic imparting of understanding and understanding this very fact from your side also. So these sessions are meant to give that hints and directions to how to go forward in our spiritual life. But we know there is a very serious aspect with regard to spiritual life which we need to know and which we need to practice. The spiritual life is something not that simply we hear once in a while something and we leave it. No, it has to be contemplated, it has to be practiced in our life seriously. Only then we move forward. I often give this example, just like you are called a professor only after 15 or 20 years of your school and college training. And with regard to further, further exposure in the college as a lecturer or as assistant professor. Similarly, to understand spiritual aspects, it's not that once in a while I do something and I understand everything. No, you have to go through a very systematic, rigorous training, exposure of spiritual subject matter in a systematic manner, what is given in the standard books of Vedic understanding, which is Bhagavad Gita. Anybody in the world will accept Bhagavad Gita as a very standard spiritual understanding. Read that Bhagavad Gita systematically under training of somebody who already has understood some extent and following that in life. So there is ample opportunity for all of us to take up spirituality in a serious manner. Right? It is like your question is like telling that a student will say, "Oh, madam, I'm very confused. This textbook says something, this textbook says something, this chapter says something. I'm not able to understand things. I'm confused." You're confused because you're not gone through a systematic training of going through those various subjects in the textbook properly under the guidance of a proper teacher. Right? That is the point. So if you've gone through properly, then you'll understand everything in its proper place. We know who are devatas. We know who is Supreme God. We know how to worship, how to respect devatas. Whom to worship, we know very clearly. So things are very clear, step by step. So it will not happen overnight. It takes some time, and it takes your time, your energy, your conscious involvement in that particular aspect, and your wholehearted engagement that I want to know spirituality. Then spirituality is not something that you can grab it. It will be bestowed upon us provided we are serious. And because spirituality has to be bestowed by Lord Krishna. Our material knowledge is all based on our karma.
So can I say something? Can I add something?
Yes.
Like आपने भी कहा कि we need to study Gita and we should be read by someone who is actually having very prolific knowledge about it. So is it not the same about Ramcharitmanas? Because it also tells us how to live life as a human, as what kind of setup or what kind of way of living a life in a very pious manner. So like Bhagwan Ram, Shri Ramchandra ji is called as Purushottam.
Yeah.
So again a form of Vishnu. So
can I comment? Can I comment?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
If you say Ramcharitmanas, I can say why not Mahabharata?
Why not?
Why not Vishnu?
That is also one of them. I'm just saying.
Whole point is, let me complete. The whole point is, why not this is not the point here. Because what is most effective, what is most practical for his age is recommended and demonstrated as an example by the founder Srila Prabhupada. Because Bhagavad Gita has all the teachings of Ramcharitmanasa. Bhagavad Gita has all the teachings of Ramayana, of all the teachings of Mahabharata, all the Puranas in a very condensed manner, which you and I can easily understand and practice in practical life. So something which is having essence of everything, which is easily practicable, why don't I accept it? Why simply I'm just forwarding my say my arguments, or rather my logical way of presentation. Why not this? Why not? In that way, there's no limit. How are you going to get satisfied? How are you satisfying yourself? If you think, oh, if I don't read Mahabharata, maybe the Pandavas will be unhappy with me. If I don't read some other Purana, Kalki Bhagavan will be unhappy with me. There's no end to this, because Vedic literature, in the previous sessions we discussed, unlimited. What is very practical, which can be followed by all of us, which is demonstrated throughout the world, millions of people following, is that Bhagavad Gita knowledge. Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the scriptures, all the books of wisdom. You just read Bhagavad Gita carefully, you'll get all the knowledge. If that is being so nicely presented in English language for us by Prabhupada, and we should take advantage of it. Otherwise, there's no end for this argument, this logic. Why not this? Why not that? Yes, all are good. But specifically at this point of time, the authorities have given us this specific medicine. It's like when you go to a drugstore, a medical store, so many medicines are effective. But a specific medicine where a specific reason is being recommended by the physician for you for a specific cause, for a specific reason. So likewise, in this present time, Kali Yuga, the specific medicine which is recommended for all of us is to chant Hare Krishna. And the specific treatment and the different aspects of treatment are being described in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely. And the diet is Krishna Prasada. So just follow this, your life is perfect. Finally, what is the purpose of this life? To liberate yourself from this world. If that is easily possible by following some simple things like this, why don't we do it? That is our proposition. Right? So I hope I have communicated the message.
Yes, sir, you have. There's one more question. One small question. Sir, as we read that we all are engulfed by Maya. It is Maya. Maya is, आप तो जानते होंगे, that is when I read Durga Saptashati, the very first अध्याय says कि भगवान विष्णु के नाभि कमल से माया उत्पन्न होती है, जो actually who keeps us busy, who wants like we should be in this cycle of life and death.
Yes,
she keeps us busy, or it's like we should not lose the very purpose of living life. Okay. But don't we all know, in spite of the fact that the ultimate truth is death, and every quest is just for our own happiness or satisfaction or our own well-being or whatever one tries to achieve in this life. So why are we engulfed with that Maya in spite of knowing the real truth? जब हम शमशान घाट पे जाते हैं तो उस 1 घंटे या 2 घंटे के लिए we actually come face to face with the reality of life. Okay. And it appears that everything is just nothing is true. The real ultimate truth is this only, what we are seeing in front of us. But finally, when we come back, and the moment हम वो मुंह में काली मिर्च डाले और we take a bath, we come into the real world, and yes, we start living the life as it was. और 2-3 दिन के बाद वो थोड़ा सब sideline हो जाती है वो memory in our subconscious.
You mean to say your question is that हम माया के चक्कर में इतना फंस गए हैं? हाँ,
actually
फंसे हुए हैं, है ना?
फंसे जानते हुए फंसे हैं कि एक्चुअल ट्रुथ तो यही है.
कभी-कभी ऐसे कुछ साक्षात्कार आ जाता है कि सब कुछ नहीं है, माया है, मोह माया है, स्मशान वैराग्य आ जाता है कभी-कभी.
Yeah. When you see your near and dear ones or anybody known passing away, you realize that ultimately तो सच यही है. Yeah. बाकी चीज our life का कोई like these days you don't know कि you will pass at the age of 20 or you will pass at the age of 80. You never know. तो वो एक बड़ा अजीब सा satirical.
You're in a dilemma between a life of moh maya and a life of completely detached way of functioning.
Why am I doing this when I have to ultimately reach the ultimate destined goal of why am I on earth? What for am I doing this quest of teaching? And even though that is my job or my, ultimately my of interest, I'm doing it out of my interest. But ultimately, I know the truth.
You know the truth.
Yeah, and that is सारे मोह बंधन है, and finally, so we have to Krishna mein hi milna.
You know the truth partially. Let me approach it.
Maybe you
You
can.
know
That's
the
why
truth
I've come to
partially.
you. That's why I've come to you.
You know only the truth partially, and you are not realize the truth properly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is just like, I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
A child out of ignorance or
Mhm.
innocence, you can say,
Mhm. Mhm.
even though it is told, hey, don't come near the fire, your hand will burn. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, it will go near the fire, put its hand and burn the hand.
Then experience it, and then only will believe it.
So what happens is that the child will next time it sees the fire, it will run away 1 mile away. Right? So our intelligence is so dull that
Yeah.
we have been
Agree.
experiencing repeatedly, not only in this lifetime, many lifetimes we have been experiencing repeatedly, but even then we are getting attracted and getting again entangled and
Yeah.
completely merged in this. So this is called very low class intelligence.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is the Vedic perspective of what you are already presented now. Okay. So what is the solution? What is the way out?
Yeah.
Okay. Some things what you mentioned, I would like to point out. You said that I know the truth, or I know what I'm doing. I'm in
No, not the truth. I'm trying to say, reading by the scriptures or whatever it is like we all are living into the circle of life and death, and ultimate truth is death. Ultimately, we have to finally merge with the final that DT. कृष्ण से मिलना है या whosoever.
वही बोल रहे हैं वही सब मिसकंसेप्शन का जो बात अभी आज का सेशन का ये बात था कि मायावाद फिलॉसफी में क्या है कि अल्टीमेटली हमें कृष्णा के साथ मर्ज हो जाना है. ये कभी भगवान बोलते नहीं है. भगवान बोलते हैं हम कृष्णा के साथ मर्ज नहीं होते हैं. हम भगवान के साथ जाके भगवान के साथ हम हमारा जीवन चलाते हैं, आध्यात्मिक जीवन चलाते हैं, आध्यात्मिक आनंद जीवन चलाएंगे. We are going to completely live a life of bliss and happiness in the spiritual world. That is the understanding. Now, just because in the disease state you are having fever and you're not able to eat properly, sleep properly, doesn't mean in a healthy state you can't eat, sleep properly. So the present situation is a disease state. This has to be rectified and come to a healthy state of actual eating, actual sleeping, actual enjoying life. But in this world, you're thinking the so-called enjoyment as enjoyment, or the enjoyment of sense gratification as enjoyment. It is our wrong understanding. So, in the last session, because maybe you are not attended last session, we discussed on the verse from Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad, in one of the verse, it says, Vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha, which means we have to understand the actual knowledge and also the material knowledge side by side, so that we know what is fact, at least we have proper perception of things. Right now, we are only trained about the material knowledge, which is temporary, which is flickering, and which is not going to really give us the ultimate liberation. So we also should know side by side the real factual understanding of things. So when you do this, then culture your understanding with the factual knowledge. Meanwhile, living in the material world, we are also experiencing the different illusory understandings of things, and analyze and gradually move forward in our life step by step, understanding what is the real truth. Towards the real truth, your step is your progress is going step by step, and you practice spirituality. The one main thing which I can point out in your whole question which you are asking or you're making was that for us, spirituality is not simply a recreation or a time pass. Let me tell you again to reiterate what I spoke just before. It is a very serious business. You have to practice it. You have to practice spiritual principles in life. Only then that I know something will become a realization. I know I am spirit soul. This is मोह माया. तो मोह माया है, मैं आत्मा हूँ. इसका जो है practice principles है. Like important principle of practice is chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna means you are praying to Krishna, please relieve me from this moha maya. Engage me in your service. If you don't offer a prayer to Krishna and a request for him to engage in his service, how will Krishna engage? Krishna is very, very respectful, and he doesn't interfere with your free will. He wants to respect your free will so much that he always wants to see that you do whatever you want. Unless and until you voluntarily come and surrender to me, I will not interfere with your life. But I will provide all facilities to you. I will give you all knowledge. I will give you all resources. So much merciful Krishna is. So that being the case, how much more we should be grateful to Lord Krishna. He is providing us so many facilities. The very fact that I'm having speaking power, I'm having seeing power, I'm having thinking power is all by Krishna. Acknowledge that, no, where from these powers are coming? Where from I get my food? Where from I get my air to breathe? So many aspects of life, if you analyze, you will be so much grateful to Krishna. Right? So this being the case, Krishna is telling, can't you just remember me chanting Hare Krishna for 5 minutes in your day? Which we say we don't have time. This unfortunate situation, which means there are clear directions of how to live a life of spirituality, expressing our gratitude to Krishna for all that we are getting, not simply making ourselves, rather, being very critical. Oh, I'm in Mohamaya, but I'm not able to do this. Yes, your situation is like this, but Krishna also has given you solution. Why don't you follow that? If you go and complain to doctor, I've been trying to follow your prescriptions, but sometimes I follow, sometimes I don't follow. What is this? I'm again having this, disease recurrence again. That is your problem. You're not steady. Follow what doctor has given strictly, things will happen. If this is not happening, then come back to doctor again. So, which means we are not serious about our spiritual life. We don't want to practice spirituality in our life, in a very rigorous manner. That is the problem. The problem is not with the systems. The problem is with us individually. We have to take up spirituality in a very, very serious manner, in a very rigorous manner. When it's something is told, let me try to practice. Okay, I'm not convinced. Let me go and again approach the right person. How to practice this? Why I have to practice this? Because we are convinced about so many other things in the material world without any argument and reference. We just go on. So the point is, let us subject ourselves to a serious spiritual practice. The practice will make your knowledge very fixed up. You become realized. Then, even though Mohamaya in front of you, you'll not get affected. You'll see it as Mohamaya actually. That's all. Now Mohamaya is there, but you succumb to it. You become entangled in it. That is what is happening now. That is actually because of lack of our commitment and steadiness in following the spiritual principles. Okay, I think the discussions will go on. If you go on like this, it's already 11 o'clock. Too much time. I think people are.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. We'll continue our discussions. You keep.
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Refer to sessions in the YouTube.
I will.
And next week you keep attending sessions. Things.
Yeah, I will. I will surely attend, sir.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.